From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Tuesday, November the 17th, 2020. The IDF found and dismantled a number of mines planted within Israeli territory near its border with Syria today. The mines were planted in the buffer zone between Israel and Syria in the Golan Heights, which Israel controls, but on the Syrian side of the security fence. The IDF tweeted, "We just exposed a number of improvised explosive devices near the Israeli side of the Alpha Line on the southern Golan Heights. We hold the Syrian regime responsible for all events in Syria and will not tolerate any violation of our sovereignty." Israel's Defense Minister Benny Gantz toured the area today and was given a security briefing on the situation, to which he responded, "I would like to clearly state Syria is responsible for what happens in its territory." Gantz added, "For a long time we have been prepared for the possibility of attacks on the northern frontier. The IDF has the capabilities and determination," he said, "to respond severely to any incident, whether from Lebanon or Syria." The Palestinian Authority said it was renewing security and other ties with Israel. If you recall, back in May, the PA said it was cutting ties, including security and civil coordination, over Israeli talk of plans to extend sovereignty to parts of the West Bank. PA official news agency Wafa said that today's announcement follows the Palestinians receiving reassurances from quote-unquote international contacts that Israel would abide by agreements. Israel had said in August that it would suspend any annexation plans as part of the normalization agreement reached with the United Arab Emirates. Israel's President Rivlin spoke over the phone today to U.S. President-elect Joe Biden to congratulate him, the first senior Israeli official, according to the Times of Israel, to make the personal call. Rivlin tweeted of the conversation, writing, "I said that as an old friend of Israel, he knows our friendship is based on values beyond partisan politics. We have no doubt that under his leadership, the United States is committed to our security and success." Shortly after, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office released a statement that Netanyahu called the president-elect as well, where it was said that Biden reiterated his deep commitment to the state of Israel and its security. Netanyahu said the special connection between Israel and the United States is a cornerstone of Israel's security and policy. The two agreed to meet soon in order to discuss the many issues on the agenda and stressed the need to continue strengthening the strong alliance between the United States and Israel. Massachusetts biotech company Moderna announced yesterday that the coronavirus vaccine it has been working on is more than 94% effective. This as its phase 3 trial is still ongoing. The company's chief medical officer is an Israeli who immigrated to the U.S., Tal Zaks, who told the Times of Israel that Israel would be among the first countries in line to receive the vaccine and that final results of the vaccine's efficacy were a few weeks away. Israel signed a deal with Moderna a few months ago, and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu said today that he was negotiating with them for an additional number of vaccines. Israel also has a deal to receive vaccines from Pfizer, as we reported to you. The lead scientist from Pfizer is also a Jewish immigrant. The JTA spoke to Mikael Dolston, who shared his excitement at the news last week that Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine was over 90% effective. Dolston said he and his team literally jumped for joy at the news in their corporate office in Connecticut. He said this may turn out to be one of the biggest medical advances of the past 100 years. Dolston came to America from Sweden in 2004. He said a lot of the great breakthroughs in America have come from people that immigrated. And referring to the likes of Albert Einstein and others, he also said there has been a strong Jewish tradition around contributing to humanity and a strong tradition within medicine. CEO of Pfizer, by the way, Albert Bourla, is also a Jewish immigrant from Greece. The Pfizer vaccine is still awaiting FDA approval, which, if it receives, would first be administered to healthcare workers and those at high risk, likely sometime in December, with the general public here in the U.S. having access to the vaccine sometime likely in April. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Tuesday, November the 17th at 7 o'clock. It's a discussion of how progressive Zionism reflects the values that are the basis of the U.S.-Israeli relationship. At 8, Jerusalem Post legal analyst Yonah Jeremy Bob discusses his book, Justice in the West Bank, the Israeli-Palestinian Conflict Goes to Court. That's with Brooke Goldstein of the Lawfare Project. At 9, Mark Golub sits down for part 2 of a discussion on a new state solution with the founders of the movement. At 10, the first U.S. ambassador to Romania, Alfred H. Moses, sits with former Senator Joseph Lieberman to recount the untold story of the exodus of Jews from communist Romania to Israel. And coming up next, it's ILTV's Insider. And that's the JBS News Update for Tuesday, November the 17th, 2020. I'm Teisha Bader. Stay healthy, stay well.